Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking a little bit more about the 2022 Brandon Apocalypse guns. Specifically, we're going to be talking about the CMMG 22 conversion bolt for your AR-15. Okay, so that 22 conversion bolt will go to any AR-15. I've got here the Ruger MPR. It's got an 18-inch cold hammer forged barrel. I've done numerous reviews on this. It's got here the primary arms 1 to 8. So I've set this gun up as a pretty much a dedicated distance shooter. Okay, I've had this thing out to 550 yards. That's the longest I've been able to take this out to and shoot a target about this wide, a steel plate about that big. So the 600 yards rifle's great in this setup. That was with 5.56. But going back to the 22, as I said, for the Brandon Apocalypse, we've got to have a 22 because 22 is a great hunting round for squirrels, rats, the small rodents that you're likely to be hunting. It's also a great training round, right? Because during a chaotic type of situation, you're not going to want to use up your 5.56 or 9mm ammo for practice, right? But with the 22s, you can get 5,000 rounds now for about $300. The weight's going to be about 25 pounds, so 5,000 rounds of 22 is about the same weight as let's say 1,000 rounds of your other calibers of your 9mm or your 5.56. So it's a great training round that you should have in your for your shit hit the fan type of setup. So in the past, right, when I started this list, I think sometime back in like 2008, in place of the 22, the rifle that I had was the Ruger 1022. Okay, so this is the gun that I had set up there. Now back then, I bought this Ruger 1022. I think it was something like $250. This is the one with the stainless steel barrel. First thing I did was I got rid of the furniture that was on it. Because first of all, I needed something that was collapsible. That was the main thing. I needed something that was collapsible because I train women and children on this gun. So I need something that can be shortened up so they can bring it closer to the body, and the gun is less front heavy. And then if somebody's got longer arms, I can lengthen it up. That's a major concern of mine. Okay, I was able to fit a rail over here to put an optic on here, put a red dot. So much easier for women and children to learn to shoot with a red dot. Then after they learn and after you get them into guns with the optics, then later on you teach them the iron sights. But it just gets it'll bring them into the sport, into the game a lot faster. Okay. Now I had to upgrade the furniture, like I said, because I needed collapsible stock. I wanted someplace to put lights, someplace to attach a sling. Right. So usually I'll put a sling here. Sometimes I might put a light on the bottom. So I had to attach this. So I think this plastic over here, I paid something like maybe $75 to $100. I think it was less than $100. They can be a lot more expensive. I've seen them go as high as $150, even $200. So if you get a Ruger 1022, you pretty much have to upgrade the furniture on it. So that's an added cost. But that's not. By the way, this stock here, aside from being collapsible, it does have the side folding feature, which I'm not a big fan of. I never use this. Okay, I'm not a big fan of side folding stocks. It doesn't. I would rather just collapse this if I needed to, if I needed to save some space. But anyway, it's there. But my biggest complaint about the Ruger 1022 is the magazines. Okay, this gun was not really designed at its inception to take these type of magazines, even though these are factory Ruger magazines. These are the BX25s. The problem with these magazines is that they do tend to wobble a little bit. I've tried these magazines in other Ruger 1022s. They all do the same, and it's not like there's a defect with this gun or with that magazine. It's because I've got lots of those magazines, right? I got the clear ones from on one side. I've got lots of these magazines. So any of these magazines, when you put this together, Here's another one over here. Okay, there's going to be a little bit of wobble. That back and forth wobble changes the pitch of the bullet, and that will occasionally cause jams. Now, if you got a new gun and new magazine, maybe you don't have this issue, but you will. I mean, this gun's probably got more than, it's definitely got more than 50,000 rounds on it. I would say it's probably got about 100,000 rounds on it. Okay, because for a very long time, this was like one of the main guns I was using to train people. So, and I would, you know, I mean, I would like, I'd go and I'd get like 500 rounds at like Walmart. It was back then, it was cheap. It was like $15. So I would like just shoot this stuff every day, all day. I mean, you know, nowadays it's a lot more expensive. So, and plus I enjoy shooting the other guns that have more at this point. But at one point, this gun did a lot of shooting. Okay, but that's the problem I find, that the wobble that you get with these magazines, you know, does cause problems. This gun was designed to take the rotary magazine. Okay, you know, that's what it was designed for. So, you know, obviously with the rotary magazine that's in there, does not hang out, so you're not going to have that type of a problem. Okay, so that's what this gun was designed for. Okay, so that's, you know, and I started experimenting with this with 22 conversion bolt, I think about 2 years ago. I did not immediately jump ship and say, hey, you know, get yourself a, you know, I mean, I did do videos saying how great this was, but I wasn't ready to start telling people to get this in place of a Ruger 1022. At this point, I am. Okay, I've got a lot. This bolt here's done a lot of shooting. I have a lot of confidence. I've seen it work with a lot of different ARs, with a lot of different types of ammunition. The only one that I have not, that I've had a problem, is the Remington Golden buckets. Okay, those buckets. That's the only 22s that will not work with this bolt. Okay, so keep that in mind. All right, so to get this bolt in here, really simple. By the way, it is a big concern. Part of the reason why I have switched over my mentality to the 22 conversion bolt is because this gun is a pain in the ass to clean. Okay, first of all, I gotta take the furniture off of this in order to get to the gun. So with this, there's like 6 screws here I gotta undo. Then there's, I think, another screw on here I gotta undo. So right there, that's a pain in the ass. I've got whatever 6, 7 screws I gotta undo. Then when you pull it out, there's this bolt or this pin that goes back and forth, which is really easy to lose. A lot of times I forget it's there, and it will just fall out. And if it falls out someplace over here, I'm going to lose it. Okay, so in the field, it's really easy to lose that pin. So as much as possible, when I clean this, I try not to take the gun apart. I try to use spray and brushes and try to get inside it without taking the gun apart, because it's a pain in the ass to clean. This is a lot easier, you know, to pull this out. You know, basically, I'm not going to do it now because I don't want to lose any springs here, but basically you pull these 2 arms apart, right? Pull these 2 arms apart, and this thing comes apart real easy. Very easy to clean. Obviously, it comes out, you know, comes out of the gun just like any regular, just like any bolt. So let's pull this out. I'm going to pull the pin out. Pull charging the handle back a little bit. So this is my 5.56 bolt with the rifle. I'm going to take this, put that in there. It goes in real nice. Close it. One thing worth mentioning, CMMG says that you're not supposed to store the rifle with the bolt in it. I don't know why, but just keep that in mind. You're not supposed to store it with the bolt in it. So that's one thing to keep in mind. The other thing is that the forward assist is not going to work. Now, I do have this little piece that attaches to the bolt that does allow the forward assist to work. However, it works except for like if it's popped open, like it's not going to fully close it, in which case it's worthless, right? So it's $20 a waste of money. If it's not going to close it all the way, if the teeth, because the reason is because the teeth just don't go far enough, don't have the reach to be able to close it all the way, just because of the designer system. It's just a waste. Don't bother with that. So basically, your forward assist doesn't work. Your last round bolt hold open doesn't work. can't even lock the gun open. So that's not going to work. Okay. Obviously the mag release does work. And as far as magazines, it takes these, like, I guess, Black Dog style magazines. However, these are made from CMMG by CMMG. These are much better than the Black Dogs ones. These are much tougher. You can drop these. These aren't going to break. Of course, if you drop them on the feed lips, you could damage them. But these are much harder. Usually, what I try to do is, like when I bought this bolt, it came in a package that had 3 of these. Don't get like the one that comes with only 1 or only 2. Get 3. Get as many of these as you can. I'm actually thinking about getting another one of these conversion bolts because they're just that good. Okay, so anytime I'm telling you guys I'm thinking of getting a second one of something, it's good. It means I've thoroughly tested it, and I definitely think it's good to have. Okay, so now let's load this. All right, just shove this in there. Okay, let's put safety on. Okay, so let's talk for a second about the scope I have on here. Right, this is a 1:8. Now this rifle is sighted in, right? It's got the ACSS sighting system. So if you're not familiar with the ACSS, just search my channel in ACSS primary arms 1:8. You'll get more information on that. So basically, it has a bullet drop compensator built into it. So with the 5.56, you zero in at 100 yards, right? So there's a chevron, and it looks like a Christmas tree underneath it, where it gives you a line. So there's a chevron that you zero in at 100 yards, and then the bottom of the legs are at 300 yards, right? The little legs that come down. Then the first line is 400 yards, 500 yards, 600 yards, 600 yards, 700 yards, and 800 yards. It goes all the way out to 800 yards with 5.56, although I cannot reliably hit anything with 5.56 past 600 yards with this rifle. That may be other reasons. Might have been the wind that because as you get further out, wind becomes more of an issue. But here's the thing: when you put in your 22, right, the bullet path is going to be completely different. So first of all, if this thing has a 100-yard zero, right, now the line of sight is about 2.5 inches over your barrel, and when I have the 100-yard zero, basically the rifle is pointed up, right? So the bullet is gonna start rising, and at 100 yards, it's gonna reach it and then keep rising. Usually, it'll rise a little bit after that, and it'll start coming down. Okay, but here's the thing: with the 22, right? It's probably not. It's never gonna get that high, right? It's never gonna get that high up because it's going a lot slower. So the way it works out, okay, with the 100-yard zero on the 5.56, okay, at 50 yards I have to use the 500-yard mark, okay, the 500-yard mark at 50 yards, okay. At 100 yards I have to use the 600-yard mark, okay. At 145 yards, I have to use the 800-yard mark. Okay, so 145 yards, 150 yards is the furthest I can reliably shoot this gun with this setup using the 22s. Okay, 150 yards is not that bad, I think. Okay, with a 22. Now at 150 yards, basically the best I can do is hit a man-sized target. At 100 yards, I'm gonna demonstrate this now. At 100 yards, where I'm gonna be shooting at a 6-inch plate. Okay, so I can shoot the 6-inch plate at 100 yards. I cannot shoot the 6-inch plate at 145 yards. The bullet pattern just opens up a little bit too much to rely. I can get hits on it, but I can't get hits reliably. But I can get hits reliably on a man-sized target. So let me take you guys a little further out, and let's do a little shooting with this. I'm going to be shooting right here on this table from a position. Let me zoom you guys out. Get you out the 10. Hold on. Get you out the 10 magnification. Oh, we're at 7 still. That's going to be right there. That's the 75 yards. We're going out to 100 yards. That's in the center of the screen now. 8 times magnification. Get a little bit. Oh, that's not the top of the screen. Okay, great. We're at 10 times magnification. It looks a little blurry. But it's in the center of your screen right now, right? That's 10 times magnification. Let me put my ear protection on. So I got the electronic earmuffs so I can hear the dings. You guys should also be able to hear the dings. They're faint because it's 22, but you should also see some movement on it. I will also call out the hits if I notice them, so you guys can see them. So in case you guys don't see them. All right, so we're shooting at 100 yards. Using the 600-yard mark. Hit. Miss. Hit. I've got a crosswind right now. Wind's blowing about 50 miles to the right. I'm gonna hold to the left. See if I can make my hit. Hit. Okay, wind died down. I'm going back to center. Hit. 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 That was a miss. Hit. Hit. That was a miss. Hit. All right, I'm gonna call it quits. So we got some good hits there. Let me bring you guys back out. There we go. Okay. Actually, there's built-in buttons on this thing that I don't use. I gotta start using the buttons. That'll really make my zooming work a lot easier. I keep forgetting that there's a button I can go straight from 1 to 10 without having to struggle so much. All right, so that was actually quite interesting because right in the middle of that shooting, I started off with no wind, and then the wind started blowing hard to the right. All right, and the wind's going to really affect the 22s a lot more than it would 5.56. So I felt it on my face. I looked at my ribbons over here. I've got ribbons hanging on a tree, and I could see I was blowing 15 to 20 miles to the right. Basically, the way it works. Here, let me use this. If your ribbon's hanging like this, that's no wind, right? If it's out here, that's 20 miles an hour, and then you just do some division. Okay, so that's 0, 5 miles, 10 miles, 15 miles, 20 miles per hour. And if the thing's flapping like this, then you got more than 20 miles per hour if it's flapping. Okay, so that's how you read the wind. It also, depending on if it's like when I looked at my ribbons, my ribbons were going straight to the right, or it was going straight that way, right? My right when I'm facing that way. If it was coming in diagonally, let's say I had a 45 degree at a 45 degree vector, I would cut that in half. So whatever my adjustment would be, I would cut it in half. I did not have, because normally I have a table that I can reference. With the 15 to 20 miles an hour wind, I basically just went a full, at 100 yards, I went a full, I went something like, what did I do? I think 6 inches plus a little bit more than 6 inches to the left to compensate for the wind to the right, and I was able to get hits. I heard it go ding, ding, ding. I was able to get hits while I had that 20 mile per hour crosswind. So that was interesting. Then the wind died down. I went back to center. So I actually look for wind as an opportunity to train, and 22s are great like that because it affects, because if with 5.56 I'd have to be shooting out to, let's say like 300-400 yards before the wind would really start affecting it enough that I have to, because at 100 yards, a 20 mile an hour wind I think is only going to move it about an inch, maybe 2. So that's not a big deal. You don't even adjust for that. If you got a 6-inch target. But anyway, let's go back to the this CMMG. Okay, I just stopped shooting in the middle of that. Yeah, the magazine wasn't quite empty. So let's get that up. Okay, good. So cool thing about this, all right? So this is my dedicated distance shooter. So, you know, now aside from hunting small game with this, other purposes of this is you can also train, because you can buy 5,000 rounds now for, I don't know, about $300. You can so you would have enough ammunition to train through difficult time periods where you cannot easily replenish your ammo. You can train your kids, right? You know, because maybe your kids are small now, but maybe, you know, in a couple of years you still can't get ammo, and they've gotten bigger, and now it's time to train them. So you can train your kids, train your wife. This is a good purpose. Now the other good purpose of the 22, I can imagine some instances in a shit hit the fan type of situation, where you might want to use them as warning rounds, right? Now, normally in normal times, we don't fire warning rounds, right? You know, basically, there's either deadly force is required or deadly force is not required. In most cases, the law doesn't give us any other options. Okay, so you know, it's either one or the other. It's on or off, right? You either have to use deadly force or you don't have to use deadly force. That's like during normal times. However, in a you know, in a zombie apocalypse type of situation, you know, you may, where you don't necessarily have to worry about immediately defending yourself in court. Warning shots might be may be something that you might want to employ. You know, especially if you want to keep certain people at a distance. So you know, why use 5.56? You can use these 22s. Right now, also in an actual engagement type of situation, right? So clearly, I can make hits at 100 yards. I can hit a man-sized target at 150 yards. Does it actually have a combat usage? Okay, but here's the thing: a 22, it may not immediately stop somebody, but in a type of situation, in that type of situation, if it doesn't kill you immediately, it will kill you later on. Okay, so you can die from the infection. So nobody's going to want to get hit with 22s in a situation where they cannot get to a hospital, cannot get to a doctor, you know, where they can't get medication. Nobody, you know, getting hit with a 22 in the long run can be just as deadly as getting hit with a 5.56. You just die from the infection. Okay, so in that sense, 22s will be, you know, are really good as warning shots, right? Nobody wants to get hit with 22s. And the other thing is, if you know, let's say you engage at a closer distance, right? Let's say you know, you've got 5.56. You know, nowadays, you know, there has to be a realistic type of threat. So if you're in a situation where you're in a gunfight, let's say at 50 yards, okay, regardless of whose fault it is, all right, let's say there's an aggressor moving against you at 50 yards, right? At the point where they get at 50 yards and a gunfight begins, they probably are thinking to themselves that at that point, retreating is not an option, okay? If you're in a gunfight, let's say at 50 yards or inside 100 yards, they probably think to themselves that retreating is not an option. If you engage at a gunfight, right, at let's say 100 yards plus, right, whether it be just warning rounds going out there or just, because remember with 22s you got a lot of rounds, you can put a lot of bullets out there. At 100 yards plus, somebody that's aggressing on you has that option to retreat. Okay, so whereas at 50 yards, the option to retreat may not be realistic to them because they're thinking, hey, if I try and retreat, I'm just going to get shot in the back. At 100 yards plus, they might be thinking to themselves, hey, let me get out of there, right? That, you know, so retreating might be a more realistic option to somebody that's aggressing on you if you engage them at a further distance. Okay, so again, that's a situation where, hey, especially if you're just trying to warn them off, right? Or you know, better to engage. It might be better to engage with 22s rather than 5.56. Why use up your ammo? So, you know, I mean, that's not a science. I mean, that's just something that just kind of wandered into my head. You guys can consider it. If you agree with it, you don't agree with it, you know, make your own decisions. Hey, put something in the comments. Let me know what you think about that. So those are my thoughts on the 22. It might also serve a purpose as a warning shot at distance, keeping people further away with you. Nobody wants to get hit with 22s, especially at a time where they cannot get to a doctor. But I think that the 22 conversion bolt is definitely a great option. I think it's a better option, right? Because everybody's got ARs at this point. At least I hope they do. And it's really easy to switch out this conversion bolt, put the 5.56 bolt in there, and just like that, this is now back to a 5.56 rifle. And likewise, I got an AR here, 7.5-inch barrel. Pop this open. Pull this bolt out. Yee, that needs to be cleaned. Okay, put this in there. And presto. Now this is a 22 rifle. I'll go lefty so you guys can see me. Oh, forgot it doesn't lock open. I just had a habit. I'm trying to lock this thing open. See if we can get back to the 75 yards with this. Not steady enough at 75 yards. I guess go back to the 30 yards. There you go. Good. So anyway, there you go. You saw how easy it was for me to move the bolt from this gun over to this gun over here. So that's why I think that the CMMG 22 conversion bolt is a very valuable tool. It's also compact, right? So basically all you need is this and this, right? This and the magazines. Very, very compact. And here's the thing. Why not have this gun and this gun, right? This way you got one dedicated 22 and one dedicated 5.56. Well, here's the thing. Why not just have two ARs, right? And maybe two of these conversion bolts. So now, that said, like I said earlier, I'm not getting rid of this. I got it. What we're talking about here is new people coming into this game. What guns should they get first? Okay, what should they do first? Eventually, I want them to have all the guns, right? But where do you start? So, just to review my Random Apocalypse 2022 must-have gun list. We said AR-15, okay, 22 conversion bolt, a Glock Gen 3, right? Just because lots of parts out there, easy to fix the gun. We said the Palmetto PX9 9mm AR. I mean, there's other similar guns out there, but basically a 9mm AR will be very useful for hunting small dog size game. Okay. Also, a lot of the parts, it basically takes the same magazines as your Glock Gen 3, and also a lot of the parts like trigger group, the extractor will fit from your AR, will also go into your Palmetto PX9. And then finally, we said the Lynx 12 shotgun, just because you need something to shoot, like birds that are flying through the air, rabbits that are running. So you need something with a spread where you can shoot a fast-moving animal. Okay, so those are the Brandon Apocalypse guns. Okay, so hope you guys enjoyed this demonstration of the Ruger 10/22. We've got lots of videos in my channel on this that I have done. Just look up my channel name, and then CMMG 22 conversion bolt should come right up. So thanks for watching. If you're not a member of the channel, subscribe, and I'll talk to you all soon. Hit the bell button so you get the notification every time I put up a new video.